A results chain describes the steps between an input, for example, pressing the accelerator pedal in the car or conducting a law enforcement activity, and the result of that input, for example, the car moving forward or a criminal stopping crime as a result of law enforcement activities. We usually use boxes and arrows to visualize the steps, as in the example. So for example, a simple results chain is a flow diagram, effectively, that starts with the input covering the thing that we do, say pressing the accelerator in the car. The next input is things that happen, or should happen, after we do the thing we want to do. For example, we press the accelerator, so the car accelerates, we go faster. Finally, what's the outcome? What's the finish, the goal? The thing that we want to happen, following our car analogy, is that we get to our destination sooner. There is an example of this on the Moodle page. We're going to use the results chain tool to analyze a law enforcement activity. For this activity, we'll use the following 5 stages. Stage 1, identify the situation. Stage 2, identify the input and outcome. Stage 3, identify the steps between the input and outcome. Stage 4, create a visualization. And stage 5, analyze that visualization. Before we do the activity, let's see an example of how to use the results chain tool. We'll start with a non-law enforcement example first to make sure we are all comfortable by using the tool in an everyday situation. Let's go back to driving our car. To use the results chain tool, we will follow the 5 stages described earlier. Stage 1, identify the situation. Our situation is driving a car. Stage 2, identify the input and outcome. Our input is pressing the accelerator and the outcome is the car moving. Stage 3, identify the steps between the input and outcome. In this example, we know that there is fuel, for example gas on an electric motor, and the accelerator makes more fuel go into the engine. We know that in the engine, the fuel is turned into energy that moves another part of the engine, and we know that this makes the wheels turn, which makes the car move. And go to stage 4, create the visualization. In the image below this video, on the Moodle page, 5 steps are visualized. From the input at the start, which is pressing the accelerator, to the outcome at the finish, and then the car moving. Stage 5, analyze the visualization. We can now analyze this visualization. Assign confidence to each of these lines between boxes. You can do this in 2 ways. As a percentage, for example, if you press the accelerator, what percentage chance do you think there is that gas is released into the engine? Or 2, start with a number, for example 20 times that you press the accelerator. Do you think gas will be released into the engine all 20 times? It is important to also recognize what we are basing our confidence on. For example, are you guessing? Is it an expert opinion, or is it based on scientific evidence? Of course, ideally, we want our confidence to be based on the best possible evidence. This is called evidence-based protection, based on evidence-based policing, but we won't cover this topic on the course. So what is the mechanism of why a car moves when we press the accelerator? Ultimately, it is the fuel which provides energy for this process to work. Without a fuel that provides energy, the engine won't work. We could do the same analysis for lots of different vehicles, a plane, a helicopter, motorcycle. These all look different, but they're all dependent on a similar mechanism, fuel driving a combustion engine or perhaps an electric engine. We'll now look at a results chain for a law enforcement activity to show how this tool can be applied to law enforcement. For this example, we will use detection dogs that are trained to detect illegal wildlife products. Again, here is the process we will use. Stage 1, identify the situation. Stage 2, identify the input and outcome. Stage 3, identify the steps between the input and the outcome. And stage 4, create the visualization. And finally, stage 5, analyze the visualization. So in this example, in stage 1, we identify the situation. The situation is the smuggling of illegal wildlife products at an airport. Stage 2, identify the input and outcome. The input is the use of detection dogs at the airport. Stage 3. Identify the steps between the input and the output. The detection dog will patrol the arrivals and departure hall of the airport. They will detect some illegal wildlife products in a passenger's bag. The passenger will be arrested, prosecuted, and if guilty will be sent to prison. They will be scared to commit wildlife crime again, and also other smugglers will see the person getting arrested, so they will also be scared to commit wildlife crime. Stage 4. Create visualization. Here is the example results chain we prepared to illustrate how the law enforcement activity of using detection dogs, the input, leads to reduced crime, the output. This diagram is below the video. In stage 5, analyze the visualization. For this example, we'll come back to the analysis later in the live sessions. Right, now it's your turn. You will select a law enforcement method from the Interpol video and use the same 5-stage process as in the previous 2 examples to analyze this method.